Recording. Okay, we are recording. We are live. And let's just quickly unmute everyone. Just make a little bit of noise for us all, guys. Make a little bit of noise. Say hello, hello, hello.
Hello from Malaysia.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. Wow. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Wow, that gets my energy up every time hearing where everyone is from. So thank you, thank you, thank you, guys. Great to have you all online today for growing from good to great, whatever that is for you, right? What do I mean by that is your definition of good and great is going to change over time. As you continue to achieve the next level of great, over time, that great will become your good. So you'll need to strive to the next level of great, and then you'll achieve that great, and then you'll feel great. But after some time, that'll feel good. And then you want to feel great again. So it's this continuous journey of how we continue to grow to the very, very next level. Cool. So a slightly different format this week, guys. Very similar to what we've done in the past. We have shortened the sessions from 1.5 to 1 hours. I had a few requests that people would love to join the session, but they found it hard to join for the full 1.5 hour. So we've trimmed it back to an hour today. And so that means I'm going to skip the preview of the last week. Right now, I'm going to pop into the chat box, guys. If you want to catch any of the previous sessions, you can see the link that I've just posted there. That's to our YouTube channel. And we have now uploaded about, I think, 8 of these webinars that we're doing right now. So the content from the previous weeks does build up a little bit. If there's anything important to review, that we will mention that today. But please, when you can, just copy and paste that link into your browser. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll have access to all of those webinars if this is your first time joining us live today. So I'm here in sunny Bangkok today on partial lockdown. We can go to a restaurant and eat now. Some restaurants, but you can't sit with your partner. They have to sit, 2 meters away. So it's kind of like, hi, darling. And that's kind of interesting. And I have the wonderful, amazing, talented coach, Christy, here to assist me as well. She's going to be helping me on the chats for today. So I do encourage you to use that chat box, guys. A couple of times through the webinar today, I will invite you to share some answers. This is a, we're going to learn together. This lockdown is unique for all of us. We're probably about, 8 or 9 weeks into this lockdown now. I'm not sure what day it is or what month it is. I just know it's Webinar Wednesday. So I know it's a Wednesday somewhere in the world. And so please, when we do offer that opportunity to share, please do drop your comments into the chat box there, guys, because that would be really, really cool to get our level of engagement up. Yeah. And so, let's jump straight in. We have an hour today. We've got 131 online right now. So let's jump in. Our purpose here at Coachology is to share as many tools and techniques with you as possible so you can navigate this lockdown and this change process effectively, whether you're leading for yourself or whether you're leading for your teams. Yes. Yes, I'm getting instructions from my amazing co-facilitator over there. There's so much happening in the world right now. It is a change process. So our purpose for these webinars is just to share some tools, techniques, and strategies to help you go from good to great, to help you navigate this uncertainty, to be the leader of your own life and to be a leader in your organization or your business as well. So for that reason, rather than just talk, I do want to share some slides with you so you do have some takeaways from today as well. So feel free to take a snap of the screen when it pops up. The session is being recorded, so I will upload it to YouTube this afternoon. So if you do need to leave a little bit earlier, don't worry, you'll get instructions, or you've got the subscription link in the chat box just there right now. So cool. Without any further ado, I'm going to share the screen. And today, of course, we are looking to going from good to great. So today's agenda looks like, first thing I want you to do, this is definitely going to be an active session today. So please gather yourself a pen and a paper if you have not got one so far. It can be a scrap of paper, a diary, a notebook, whatever you have. You will need a pen and paper for today. We're going to look at why good isn't good enough, becoming great by finding your passion and your why, your purpose. We are also going to look at overcoming your limitations to greatness. So in other words, what holds us back from achieving that next level of greatness? How to achieve gigantic goals, right? Achieving small goals is a little bit easier, but what about those big, massive, gigantic goals? How are we able to achieve them? We're going to look at that. And also the world's best action plan. And by best, I mean simple, something that actually works for the thousands of students that both Christy and I have coached and facilitated over the years. We have found that this process is a really, really simplified action plan that will help you to achieve those gigantic goals. So, here are just a snapshot of some of those webinars that we've done over the last few weeks. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel and you'll be able to catch all of those contents from breaking through from boredom to brilliance, growing in acceptance and appreciation, and all of that other good, cool stuff. Take a look at those learnings there. The other thing I want to announce before we get started today, guys, is I'm really, really excited to launch our new exclusive Facebook group called 60-Second Leadership. Now, this might not be for everyone on the call. And as I mentioned, some people don't have the luxury of having a full hour or hour and a half of these webinars. So the purpose of the 60-Second Leadership Executive Mastermind group is that the members of the group just get to share some of their tips, their best practices, how do they achieve results in 60 seconds or less. So it can be a little video, it can be a little post, a message or whatever. And I would invite you to join that group. So I am going to, guys, I'm going to share with you a link on how you can access that. Now, it is by invitation only. So if you would request to join, we do request that you are an existing leader or you have been one, that you enter your email address and that you have got some value to add to the group, right? Our purpose is that we learn from each other. And, you know, there will be some other coaches and trainers and facilitators, but also, you know, CEOs, MDs, GMs, people that are seriously passionate about leadership and about helping others. So that's the purpose of the group. Not everyone has time for a full sit down 1 hour or 1.5 hour webinar. So in 60 seconds or less, we're going to share some of those best practices. So right here is the link for that. So have a look in your chat box there, and that will be available later on. You can copy and paste that into your web browser to take a look. So let's jump in now. I'm seeing a couple of chats there, guys. If you can't hear, I'm going to say it must be something on your microphone on your side. So please have a play around with that. So let's jump in, guys. So what I want you to do first, now remember, you're going to do some of the work today, guys. I need you guys to do some of the push-ups today as well. So what I would like is, on that piece of paper and pen that you have, I'd like you to write down 2 goals that you'd like to achieve in the next 6 months. Right? Now, I want you to take this process seriously. I want you to achieve all of your goals. And I want you to be able to achieve them sooner rather than later. Now, they can be any goals. They can be your personal goals, your professional goals, your life goals, relationship goals, whatever goals you have. Just write down 2 for now. And remember what we're going to learn today. Yeah, you can pop it in the links there if you like as well. If you want to share it into the chat box, if you're okay to share, then you can put it in the chat box. If you don't have a pen or a paper and you're moving around, just capture your goal in the chat box there. That's awesome. Thank you, Noppy. That's wonderful, Kunopadon. But yeah, I want you to, you know, have this written down. This is a process, right? So it's not just for these 1 or 2 goals. This is for any goals that you're able to achieve in the future. So go ahead and write those down now. Now, for those of you, this is the first time on the webinar, let me share with you quickly how you're going to structure these goals. As we've all probably heard of SMART goals before, but there's a way that we can make these goals a little bit more smarter, as we say here in Thailand. And that means specific, which I'm sure we've all heard of before, but the goal needs to be simple. Not simple like easy, I mean simple to understand, so that you can take your goal and show it to anyone and they would understand what that means to you. M is measurable and meaningful, right? So measurable means how do you know when you got it, and meaningful means there needs to be some kind of emotion or meaning in it for you, like why is achieving that goal important? Achievable and agreed, so if it's a team goal, it will need to be agreed. Relevant and realistic, makes sense, and timely and towards outcome. So in goal setting, we don't move away from what we don't want, right? We move towards what we do want. And so as you're structuring your goal, do your best to make it a SMART goal. All right, so one more minute on that, and just please write that down on your piece of paper, those 2 goals that you want to achieve. If you're really good at goal setting and you've done this 1,000 times, do it 1,001 times. It's always good to flex your goal setting muscle, right? And you can take a look at some of those other webinars. We've covered this in more detail. I think it was the abundance video, how to set up your SMART goal even more clearly and specifically. We spent a lot more time on that recording, so take a look on YouTube for that one. 30 seconds, guys. So write down those 2 goals, any goals. Make sure you have those written down, and let's move on. Now, why good isn't quite good enough? Let's take a look at what do we mean by that. So people think success looks like this. The reality is probably a little bit more like this. We will kind of, you know, we'll be on a bit of a plateau, and then that little dip area can be a little bit of a struggle, and we might spend a lot of time in that dip. Or we might get that kind of kick in the ass that we need to kind of move on and get moving, and then we'll shoot up to another level of success. And what I'm interested though, guys, in what is going on with these little dips here. And you can probably think about times in your life where, you know, you've been focused on setting goals and you've been achieving goals, and you feel that you know your life and your business is accelerating quickly, and then it kind of plateaus for a little while. And then we have this dip period, right? So there's a couple of things going on in this dip period. And of course, this is a bit of a generalization. Different people have different things going on when it comes to achieving their goals and moving from good to great. Oftentimes what happens during this dip, there's a couple of reasons why this dip happens. One of those reasons is we achieve a level of success and then we kind of plateau. And we spoke about this in last week's webinar, that if we don't continue to grow and develop ourselves, not only do we plateau, but we actually dip down, especially in terms of our happiness and fulfillment. So in other words, one of our purposes in life is to continue to grow and evolve and become a better version of ourselves. If we stop growing, if we stop evolving, if we just stay at that plateau and we kind of like don't change, then what happens is that happiness and the fulfillment will substantially begin to decline. And for some of us, we can spend a lot of time in that dip area, kind of blaming external factors of why this is going on and why am I not growing and all of these kinds of things. So that can be one reason why we don't go to that next leap up to the next level. Another reason why people can get stuck in that dip area is you've got a new goal or a new level of success that you want to achieve. You want to move from good to great, because what was great now becomes kind of good or kind of like average. And hell, average is average. If you're on this webinar, you're not interested in average. I know that if you're here today, you're interested in being great and being awesome. So sometimes what we need to do to move from that dip to leap up to that next level, and you can think about that next level, that's the next goal that you want to achieve, that big goal, that gigantic goal, that next level of success, and whatever that is for you. And that could be something simple like finding a new job or starting your own business, or finding a life partner, or it could be something more advanced, like, I don't know, running for president, climbing Mount Everest, or whatever it is for you. In order to go from good to great, right? Because we keep going through these cycles, right? In order to go from good to great, it often requires a little bit of a, how shall we say, it could involve like a dark night of the soul. And I don't mean to be like doomy and gloomy there. What I mean is sometimes we need to realign our belief systems, our unconscious programs, and our values to be aligned with that next level of success. So as we go through this internal change process, that's where we can have that little bit of a dip, right? Because it's not necessarily easy, right? It takes a little bit of hard work. It takes commitment. It takes discipline. It takes really being aware of where we are right now, being aware of where we want to go, and then looking within to see what needs to change to get to that next level. You see, to go from good to great, you need to become someone else. You need to have a new identity when it comes to being someone else, when it comes to achieving that next level of success, whatever that is for you. You can't do that at the same level of thinking. You must become someone else. And so that takes a lot of introspection. That means using your metacognition, our ability to become aware of our thoughts, emotions, and behavior. And as you become more aware of that, you begin to become aware of what needs to change to get to that next level. And once you get aligned, once your conscious and your subconscious are aligned, bang, you are moving down that river of change. You're going with the current of the flow, and that's how you have that leap up to the next level of success, right? So this is what we mean by going from good to great. And Einstein says it very well. You cannot solve the problems from the same level of thinking that created them. And it can be said the same with our growth or development. You can't grow to that next level of success, whatever that is for you. You can't grow from good to great with the same level of thinking that kept you at good, right? You need to think beyond this level of thinking to get to that next level. So you'll move from good to great, okay? And then if you plateau a little bit for a while, that great over time actually becomes just kind of good. Why? Because you've grown, you've expanded, your comfort zone, your awareness, your consciousness, everything has grown, and it's okay for a little while. But if you become too complacent, or if you plateau for too long, it's not great anymore, it's good. So you need to look at that. What does that next level of great look like for you? What is that next level of success? And you need to do it consciously. You need to plan for it. You need to think about it. You need to find the meaning and your purpose that's going to help to pull you up to that next level. Make sense? Excellent. And thanks everyone for sharing some of your goals there in the chats. Now remember, keep these goals written down. We're going to come back to those in a moment for some of the next part of the process. Now, a couple of books that I can really, really recommend to help you to basically go from good to great. The first one is the book by Dr. Marshall Goldsmith, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And this is a book written specifically for leaders and executives. You see, executives will get to a certain level and all their skills and experiences and knowledge and wisdom and everything got them to that level. Those same levels won't get them to that next level. Right? So that same level of thinking will not get them to that next level. So it's really, really important that we continue to grow and evolve. And that's how you grow to that next level of success. Now, the other book that I'd really like to recommend is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And this leads us into the next part of our webinar now, where we begin to explore our purpose, or said another way, why we do what we do. So the dictionary definition, we like to be nice and clear here. Our purpose, or purpose by definition, is the reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists. So the key word there is the reason. So the reason we do something, the reason that it's created, the reason for what something exists. So in order to achieve your goals, in order to achieve your next level of success, in order to get yourself outside of your comfort zone, it's really good idea to look at what is your purpose in life and to try and identify what your purpose in life is. Now, there's a couple ways to help identify your purpose. And as I mentioned, Start With Why by Simon Sinek is a nice read for both yourself personally, but also for your organization, especially if you're a startup or a business owner. It's a really, really good book to get your hands on in terms of creating your purpose for your organization. So some people say your purpose is a combination of your passion and others' needs. Now, what do we mean by others' needs? It's not every other person out there. Think about the market, right? What does the market need? What does a group of people need? A specific segment or group of people. What is their need? What do they really, really need? What is your passion? And that overlap can be your purpose, right? So I attended a seminar about 20 years ago. And at this seminar, there was a process to elicit our purpose. And this is 20 years ago, so I'll give away my age a little bit here. I guess I was about 27 or something like that. And my purpose was quite simple. And for me, if you don't mind, I share. My purpose was and is to love, to learn, and to teach. That's how simple my purpose was as I went through this process of eliciting my purpose. And that purpose from 20 years ago has stayed with me until this day. And so when I look now about what am I passionate about, I'm passionate about my personal and professional growth and development. And I'm also passionate to share that passion of mine together with other people's needs. So other people who are also interested in their personal development, especially anything around coaching or leadership or supporting others to grow. So yeah, when I look at this diagram, I can say that, yeah, that overlap between what I'm really, really passionate about and the market that is also kind of interested or passionate about what I'm doing, then that's that overlap to create the passion, right? Now, here's another Japanese concept called ikigai, and apologies if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, a reason for being. So remember, a reason for being is also our purpose, right? For what reason, for what purpose? Now, I have not read any books yet on ikigai. As I was preparing for today's webinar, I'm doing a lot of research. You know, I admit freely that there's a lot that I don't know that I don't know. I love to share my personal experiences, and I like to bring in other pieces of knowledge and information so that we have more information to share and to learn and to grow together. So I've not read anything on ikigai yet. I've heard some of my Japanese friends and colleagues says it's pretty awesome. So take a look. I'm sure there's dozens of books out there. But I love it how there's these overlaps between you love it and you are great at it. That's your passion. Yeah. Or you are great at it and you are paid for it. Yeah. Okay. That's your profession. You get paid because you're good at that thing. You're great at that thing. Then the world needs it and you are paid for it. That's your vocation. It's almost like your calling is another way to say that. Or you love it and the world needs it. That's like your personal mission. Now, where all of those beautiful little circles intersect, that is your ikigai, your purpose. This is why you do what you do. You love it, you're great at it, you get paid for it, and the world needs it, right? So what does that mean is, and let's just address this section here on you are paid for it. Remember, guys, you can contribute as much as you like to as many people as you like. And remember, the more that you have, the more that you can contribute. So what does that mean? Maybe you want to work in a foundation or a charity or a .org or something like that. That's cool. and you should be remunerated for the value that you add to that organization, because the more, remember, money is simply a resource. So the more money you have, the more that you can contribute, the more people that you can help, the more positive impact you can have on the world. So getting paid for your purpose and your passion is totally okay. And in fact, I would encourage it, right? So let's keep moving on here. When is it important to identify your purpose, right? So often we've heard, talk about, oh, we need to find our life purpose. And yes, that's absolutely true. But what we can see, guys, is that there's multiple areas where you can utilize purpose in terms of getting clear and creating results in your life. So when is it important to get clear on or identify a purpose? Obviously for your life's direction and fulfillment. But there are some simple things. For any meeting, I'm sure there's many of us have been to many, many meetings that we thought we did not need to be there. So a really good question to ask is, what is the purpose of this meeting, right? And you can obviously ask that question beforehand. Or if you're setting the meeting, the purpose of the meeting is, and here is the agenda, right? So then you can decide, now that you know the purpose of the meeting, you can decide whether you need to attend or whether you don't need to attend. And if you're setting the meeting, if you clearly identify the purpose, then you're focusing everyone's intention, attention, and they're basically their brain capacity to focus on that purpose. So what does that mean? That means that the meeting will be much, much more productive. When trying to get clear on someone's intention, right? So for example, my amazing wife, she would say to me, honey, let's go to the shopping mall. Let's go to Emporium here in Bangkok. And I would say, for what purpose do we need to go to Emporium or to that shopping mall? Now, as you may have guessed, I'm not a real fan of going to shopping malls, but if she can tell me a valid purpose of why we need to go there, then I'll go, right? But if she's just going to say, oh, I just want to get out of the house and I want to look around, then I'll say, well, okay, you go and I'll do something else. Yeah? Also, to try and get clear on someone's action. So yes, intentions and actions are kind of similar, but if you ask them for what purpose are you doing that, well, then you'll have a bigger picture understanding of why people do what they do. So when you ask someone, what is the purpose of this, or what is your intention for this, or what's the purpose for that action, it'll give you a lot more information, a bigger picture about why that person is doing what they're doing. When achieving your goal, and we're going to come to this in a minute, we're going to come back to your goals in a minute, and we're going to understand or elicit your purpose for wanting to achieve your goals. Now, please, who can tell me, this is the time to add into the chat box here, when are some other important times where you think it might be useful to understand the purpose of why someone is doing what they're doing? Yes, it is a mission to go shopping with the wife. It is could not be done. Thank you. But why else? What are some other areas, guys, aside from what we've mentioned just here? Where are some other areas where if you can elicit or understand the purpose, it creates greater clarity and so on? Just pop your chat, guys, your questions or your comments directly into the chat box, guys, and I can see them all nice and clearly. Yes, to make a tough decision, exactly. When a decision needs to be made or judging someone else's action. Yeah, if you're a leader, do your best to change that word judging to assessing someone else's action, right? Judging can have a little bit of a negative connotation, which you need to be mindful because it can slip into your own subconscious mind. To assess someone's actions is totally okay. To be motivated, yes, to motivate ourselves to stay on the course, exactly. So to get out of bed, right? Why do we get out of bed in the morning? Exactly. When you don't have an aim in life, to set boundaries. Nice one, Kelly. Yeah, perfect, guys. So keep dropping your answers in there. So yeah, it's a decision-making process, as a few of you have already mentioned. So when you understand more clearly about the purpose, Well, now you have more data to make a better informed decision, whether it's a big, medium, or small decision, either way. When you are fighting with someone, right? So you can ask them, for what purpose are we having this discussion, right? If you feel that you're getting into a bit of a colorful conversation, then that could be a really good time. You have to communicate. Thank you, Pui. Now, finding someone's purpose is actually a specific conflict resolution technique. So what do we mean by that is often when people are in conflict, here they are, boxing, 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 it's because they're perceiving to have a different path of action to achieve a specific outcome. So what you can do is those two conflicting parties is you do what we call in NLP, you chunk up to get into a common agreement. And the most common way to ask that is say, okay, what is our outcome here and for what purpose? So often if you've got anyone in some kind of conflict, by chunking up and getting clear on the outcome and the purpose, you can get them to agree. Then you slowly come back down into the details of the specific action or task or things that need to be done. And it can help you get unstuck, right? So if you are in that little bit of a dip area there, or you've plateaued and you're kind of aiming towards this goal, but you're in that little bit of a dip, you can just kind of time out and you can say to yourself, all right, what's my purpose? What am I doing here? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And as you get clear on your purpose, then that can help you to create massive alignment and shoot towards your goal. Cool. Now, I want you to look at those two goals, and I can't believe how quickly an hour is going today. So let's keep moving, guys. Look at those two goals that you wrote down before. And I want you to ask yourself, and I want you to write the answers down. Don't just intellectualize it. For what purpose do you wish to achieve those goals? Now, just work on one goal at a time, right? You can work on the second goal after the session. I want you to ask yourself, for what purpose do you want to achieve that goal? Or another question you can ask yourself, why is achieving that goal important, right? Your purpose, your why, the reason, they're all kind of bundled together, linking to your purpose of why achieving your goal is important. Now, let me tell you the secret, guys. Whether you're setting goals for yourself, your family, your organization, or your clients, the bigger the why, the bigger the purpose, the bigger the reason, the more motivation that you will have, or the more motivation that your team or your clients will have. So if you are doing some goal setting processes with yourself or your teams, be sure to always, 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 after you've got your SMART goal, to ask yourself why, right? Why is achieving that goal important? And I don't just want you to write one, I want you to write multiple whys. And then those whys, I want you to make them as big as possible. So for example, my SMART goal is I want 1 million Thai baht in the bank by the 31st of July 2020, for example. Why is that important? Oh, because I want stuff. Yeah, okay. Stuff is okay, but as you can see, it's not a real big why. So then I ask myself a bit deeper, why else is achieving this goal important? And then I might say something like, well, you know, I want to provide a holiday for my parents. I want to give them an all expenses paid trip to Thailand to come and visit me. Well, now that's a bigger why. And I actually feel myself personally, and your why will be different to you. I'm just sharing a personal example. That why is much bigger for me now. So I will be more intrinsically, internally motivated to get out of bed and to take those actions necessary to achieve that goal. Now, if I had children, which I don't, but if I did, another why might be that, yeah, why do I want 1 million baht? Because I want to send my kids to an awesome private international school, for example, right? So, or I might want to make a charitable donation to a foundation or an organization. So whatever your why is, and it will be very personal for you, my suggestion is turn the volume up on that why and make that purpose, make that why as big as possible. The bigger it is, the more motivated you will be. So now there are some top tips for finding your purpose, right? There are a ton of books and seminars and all that about, you know, how specifically to find your purpose. So you can read those books or watch those webinars, but I want to share with you a couple of quick top tips. This is how I found my purpose once I lost track of it after a while. So 20 years ago, remember, to love, learn, and to teach. That was my purpose. Then I kind of lost track. I traveled the world. I worked down in Koh Samui for 10 years in hospitality. And then I realized I wasn't happy in hospitality anymore. I'd made it up to the level of GM. And I asked myself, what's my purpose? And I kind of remembered, yeah, well, to love, learn, and teach, but it didn't quite resonate at the time. So I simply asked myself a question. When in my life had I felt most alive, most passionate, most like present? And as I asked myself that question, I sat with it for a week or so. It came to me that I had attended a personal development seminar in Australia many years ago, 20 years ago. And how I felt at the end of that seminar was the most alive and vibrant, with every neuron in my body just shaking with joy and aliveness. And I thought, so in that moment, I just decided I want to be a coach and a trainer. I just kind of decided that's what I want to do. So now my purpose, more clearly defined, is to inspire leaders to empower and inspire their teams. And so that's what we do at Coachology. That is our purpose, to inspire leaders so that they can inspire themselves and their teams and empower others to the next level of success. Right? So what brings you real joy? Yeah. So please, guys, I want you to also share with me now in the chat box what tips have worked for you in helping you find your purpose in the past. So when I say real joy here, I'm not talking about, you know, without drugs and alcohol, without any kind of external thing going on. What is it that brings you internal joy? What that real joy? And that whatever brings you that joy, that's a clue to what your purpose is. Now, part of the process might be getting clear on what you don't want. So when I was backpacking around the world, I thought I wanted to own a bar and a pub, until I worked in a bar and a pub, and I thought, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. And then I wanted to, you know, be in the construction industry, until I worked in the construction industry. And it's like, hell no, I don't want to do that forever. So by getting clear on what you don't want, through the process of elimination, you begin to get very, very clear on what you do want, right? What did you love doing as a kid, right? So what is it that as a kid that you really, really, really loved and enjoyed to do? That can give you a really, really good clue as to what might be your vocation or your calling or your passion in this lifetime. Very good. So what else, guys? What are some other tips for finding your purpose? Who can share with me some other tips, please? Please share those with me now, guys. What other tips? What other tips have you got there, guys? Yeah, to inspire others, satisfaction, inspired others, innovation, very nice, very nice. Helping people in need, beautiful. When we feel meaningful, yeah, meaningful is that emotion. Like if something is more meaningful, that's emotion, that's energy in motion. That's going to help you get motivated to get out of bed and do what you need to do. To see smiles, to feel passion, exactly, all really good reasons. So a couple of other tips here, guys. Yeah, when you can tell it's not a good job. Yeah, when you're not happy anymore, when you're not fulfilled, that's a clue that that is not your passion. Not always, but it could be a clue that you're doing something that you're not feeling passionate about. Yep, to solve others' problems. Fantastic. So let's take a look at a few others, guys. You can follow the Ikigai process. Okay, so something that I read many, many years ago when I first arrived to Koh Samui, there's this beautiful book called Sacred Contracts by Caroline Myss. It's a little bit spiritual as a book goes, and if you're open-minded to it, it's really interesting read. So one of the first things she said that blew me away in this book was that what if, and I'm not saying it's true, I'm saying what if before we came onto this planet you chose your parents? And you chose your parents because of who they are and the skill sets that they have. Well, a combination of that might be pretty similar to you. So that was the first thing that blew my mind wide open. And then the second part of the book, she talks about certain archetype. And you can think of archetype kind of like personality, but it's different to personality. It's not your star sign. It's something that if you follow the possibility that we do choose our life, then we choose an archetype. And as I went through this process of eliciting it, my archetype was messenger. Now, that was fascinating for me at the time, because at the time we were renovating this hotel, and I was awake from 5 o'clock in the morning till midnight every day for like 3 months straight. And my job at that time, I was simply running around the resort, from the owners to the contractors to, we had some guests in the hotel, believe it or not, and the staff. And I was literally just running around, and it was driving me nuts. It was driving me crazy until I read this book, and I thought, so if I'm a messenger, that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm running around the hotel passing messages from one person to another. Now, remember, at that time, I had not had the desire to be a coach or a trainer, yet I was fulfilling my purpose of being a messenger. So that next day, after reading this in this book, I leapt out of bed and I thought, okay, who can I share a message to today? And so I was running around totally on purpose for the rest of that day, full of power, full of passion. Fast forward 20 years to what I'm doing now as a coach and a trainer and a facilitator, I'm still a messenger, because as a coach, I know that you have the resources within you. My job is to help you identify your purpose, your passion, your skills to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. Start with why. We already mentioned that. And please, don't let others tell you what you can or you cannot do. That's a good way to block yourself from your purpose and your passion. So just, you can listen to what they say, but you don't need to accept what they say, right? Your passion and purpose is yours alone. And that might mean you need to have a courageous conversation with someone that cares about you deeply. They have a good intention for you, yet you need to be your own person, your own man or woman, and you need to sometimes just decide what is your passion. You need to decide, I'm taking these steps to identify clearly my purpose. Thank you for the compliment. Cool. So there are some limitations to your greatness. So Coach Christy and I had a bit of a brainstorm, based on the thousands and thousands of people that we've worked with over the years, that hundreds of companies, all in the 15 different countries throughout Asia. And there are some key limitations that we identified that I'd like to share with you right here, right now. The first limitation that's going to hold you back from good to great is your mindset or your limiting belief. Now, a couple of webinars ago, we spoke about our belief systems, and that we have either limiting beliefs that hold us back, or we have empowering beliefs that drive us forward. So your mindset, negative thinking, or limiting belief is what's going to hold you back. Now, according to some of the work that Christy and I have done, people like Tony Robbins and some other very well-informed coaches, one of the biggest limiting beliefs that people have, and a limiting belief is like a program. It's a subconscious program that's running in the background, kind of like your default operating system on your computer. One of those biggest limiting beliefs is, I'm not good enough. The second one is, I'm not worthy, right? I'm not worthy of that next level of success. I'm not good enough. And you'll need to dig a lot deeper to find out specifically what are your limiting beliefs. So you can work with a coach, you can come to one of our NLP courses, you can invite me to your organization. We do a whole set of modules on identifying and removing those limiting beliefs and those mindsets. And the final one is fear. And we covered that in last week's webinar. Okay, so if you want to take a look at how to overcome fear, please subscribe to our channel and take a look at how to overcome fear. The next big one is emotional blockages. Now, what do I mean by that? From the time that we were born to this point in time, we've had significant emotional events. It might have been that we were bullied at school. It might have been we had a relationship break apart. It might have been something with our parents. It could have been violence, abuse, whatever it was. Those significant emotional events, those emotions get trapped in our neurology, and it becomes a lens on how we perceive the world. So, for example, if we were told, that you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, or you're not intelligent, well, that becomes not only limiting belief, it becomes almost like an emotional scar. And so we need to firstly identify what those blockages are and then remove them. That is how you accelerate your journey. And the final big obstacle or the limitation is your environment. So that's going to be certain people are going to be holding you back, or certain places are going to be holding you back. And so what you need to do, as you are in charge of your personal development and your growth, you need to choose who you spend your time with, and you need to choose where are you going to spend that time, right? So for example, I'm here in Bangkok, right at Sukhumvit. I could choose to hang out in Soy Cowboy. Well, that's not really going to help me to achieve my goals and success to that next level, whatever that is for me, right? Now, they're all closed at the moment anyway, so it makes it much, much easier. That's a joke. Very good. Now, I read this quote here. I was doing like an internship back in Australia many years ago, and my job was to make cold calls. And I thought that was the most horrible thing on earth to have to do. And then the gentleman who I was interning with had this sign on his desk there. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's not our light, sorry, it is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Now, when I read this at the time, my mind was blown, right? My fear was fear of success, right? Fear of growing to that next level. Now, that was probably tapped into that I'm not worthy or I'm not good enough, right? When we get into the subconscious programming, clearly there's a lot of overlaps. But when I read this, I just became a calling machine. I was like, give me that list, give me those numbers, let me, and I was just bang, 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 just making those calls and making those calls. So, how can we do it, guys? How can you achieve those gigantic goals, right? Mount Everest, whatever it is for you. So, achieving gigantic goals. Who knows the answer to this? I see some of my amazing coach students on the call today. You probably know the answer to this. It's one of my favorite things to say in the training. How do you eat an elephant? And by the way, the elephant is that gigantic goal that you want to achieve, right? So you need to overcome those limitations first. Exactly, Rachel. One bite at a time. So what do we mean by that is any goal that you want to achieve, whether it's a small goal, a medium goal, or a massive goal, any goal that you want to achieve is simply a series of steps. One step after another, after another, after another. One action, one task, something, no matter how small, as long as you keep eating it one bite at a time, and you keep taking those little bites, you will eventually achieve your goal. Now, if you remove those limitations and if you have a clearly structured SMART goal, as we covered before, and if you know your purpose, look out, you are unstoppable. You can go from good to great, and then great to greater, and greater to awesome, and double awesome, and so on. How do you do it? The process is the same. One bite at a time. So, what I'd like to share with you is a very, very simple little action plan. I'm going to put a link in the comment section in a moment where you can download this template as well. So let me walk you through here, guys, what this template is about. So over on the left-hand side, you've got your goal, which of course will be written as a SMART goal. If you're not quite sure, watch that video from a couple of weeks ago. Then you're going to identify some of those reasons why, right? Make the reasons big, right? The more, the better, and the bigger, the better. So, and of course, you can make this template on a spreadsheet, guys. This is not rocket science, yeah? So you start with your goal, and then you start with your reasons why. Now, remember, this is to achieve a gigantic goal, guys, and this can be for your personal goal, it can be for your professional goal, or it can be for your team goal as well. Whichever goal you're working on, this template works equally as well for all of it. Now, once you've identified your goal and you've identified your reason why, and you should have done that already on your little piece of paper, measurable, that taps into your SMART goal, right? So after you know the goal and after you know your purpose or your reason why, now it's time to brainstorm, okay? Now, you'll do your brainstorm separately outside of this action plan. Remember, this is the final action plan. So you've got your goal, you know your purpose. Now you get yourself a blank piece of paper, and you can do this after the call. I want you to write down all of the possibilities, all of the actions, all of the tasks, everything that you need to do, big, small, medium, pretty, ugly, whatever it is. The thing that you don't want to write down, then you write it down. And you basically just do a full, big brainstorm, right? Don't hold back. Don't censor it. Just you do what we call a mind dump, a brainstorm. You capture it all. Then let's say you have a list of 20 things. The next step you're going to do is simply circle the top 3, what we call here, guys, strategies, right? So often those top 3, they're what we call a mid-level chunk. And having worked with hundreds of companies throughout Asia, oftentimes when you do the brainstorming and you try and do the prioritization, that's normally where the brainstorming and the action planning stops. And often it doesn't work. Why? Because those top 3 priorities that you'll have circled, they're too big. They're like a mid-level chunk. So what happens is they cannot be just done or delegated, right? They're still too big. And so as a result, we get procrastination, overwhelm, and just doing nothing. So once you've identified the top 3, you write those in those 3 columns that you can see there. It says opportunities, way forward. They're what we call strategies. Then you move to the next section. So for strategy number 1, you ask yourself again, what do I need to do to achieve strategy number 1? You can brainstorm again, and then you can pull out your top 3 actions. So action number 1, 2, and 3 will equal strategy number 1. Then with strategy number 2, you'll have 3 more actions, and then so on and so on. And it might be 2 actions, it might be 4 actions, whatever it is for you, it depends on the size of your goal. Now, can you imagine if you're a business owner, you can use this template for your whole organization as a kind of a big picture overview. Then let's say you have 4 department heads, for example, sales, operations, accounting, whatever. Each of those department heads can also have their own template for their department. Now, clearly, their set of strategies and actions will be more detailed and more specific. But now here's where it gets even cooler. If I'm a department head and maybe I've got 5 staff in my department, each one of those staff can have his or her own action plan, this same template. So this action plan will basically be their KPI. Yeah? And then over on the far right-hand side is like who is going to do it. If it's your personal goal, it might just be you. But if you're a leader, you might want to delegate. You might want to outsource. You might want to find a contractor. So you put who and then you put when, right? And this becomes the most simple, effective, and powerful action plan that I've seen on the market. And special thanks to Howard, you know who you are, for helping me co-create this. Yeah, it works, right? And it works for billion-dollar multinational companies that I've worked with, or it can work for yourself as an individual for your personal goal. Make sense? Pretty clear, right? So I'm going to share that link with you in a moment, guys, so you can download that for yourselves. Now, top tips to use your action plan effectively. So every day, take at least one action, guys, big or small, easy or difficult, towards the achievement of that goal. One bite at a time. Keep your action plan somewhere where you can see it every day. That makes sense. The more you see it, the more likely you are to act upon it. Remind yourself of your purpose. So whenever you feel yourself getting off track or unmotivated or whatever, review your purpose, read the purpose, ask yourself again. And who's got some other suggestions, please, guys? What are some other tips for using your action plan more effectively? And as you put in your tips there, I'll go through some others. You don't have to do it all yourself. In fact, often we need support to achieve our goals, whether they're personal or professional. So please, please, please work out what you can delegate or outsource to. And then ask yourself, how can you keep yourself accountable, right? In other words, how will you keep yourself accountable to take those actions? Now, one way that you can do that is you might set some consequences for not taking action. So you can set yourself up with a buddy and you might say something like, look, if I don't do these actions this week, I'll take you out for dinner, my shout. Or I'll do 50 push-ups. Or I'll, I don't know, wash your clothes, do something, get creative. So yeah, thanks for the tips there, guys. Do the hard task first. Yeah, a small reward after each task, rewarding yourself. Exactly. And also, guys, one thing that I know that works for me to help me go from good to great and then plateau and then go from good to great is my continued growth and development and learning new tools. For example, I'm going to go and find out that book on Ikigai so I can learn more about that. Cool, cool. So yes, guys, as we've mentioned before, these tools that you've learned today, I'm teaching these all around the region in 15 different countries around the region. We do have public programs here in Bangkok. So by July, we should be able to travel again. So please join us for the NLP training, which is a program to deep dive into the subconscious, remove those blockages and limitations, get crystal clear on your purpose. And it's a very, very powerful leadership tool as well. You may also want to join us to become a professional coach, the ICF coaching certification program. If we can't travel still, guys, there'll be other dates in November. And the good news is with this ICF coaching program, we are approved to provide this training online. So I'm about to send out some details about the online training and how that will work. So you can still be in Malaysia, Singapore, Maldives, or Brunei. Otherwise, the next one will be in November. We do have an online webinar series for companies as well. So Coach Christie has been delivering some sessions in Thai language for our clients. I've got starting one tomorrow with a company in Malaysia online where I'm doing a series of webinars every week. And then we're doing a big one next week as well for a company. So if your company is interested, you can't really wait to come into a hotel environment again. So if you're part of an organization and you want to continue to develop your teams, please reach out to us. And as I mentioned at the beginning of today, our 60-second leadership. It's an exclusive Facebook group to help leaders to get results really, really quickly. So guys, be that change you want to see in the world. Let me quickly find that link for you guys. I'm going to share the link for that action plan. Just give me 1 second, please. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to put that over here. That should be, hang on 1 second, everyone in the meeting. Okay, that, my friends, is where, there's two links there. So, sorry, it should be just one link. So that's the link for the action plan. So please feel free to download the action plan and enjoy that. And let's quickly unmute everyone and go back to gallery so we can see your beautiful faces. Thank you all for participating today. How did I do for time?
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you all, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for your participation. Thanks for sharing in the chat.
Wonderful session.
I'm going to have a break next week, right? I have a corporate client next week. So you've got a week off. Please review those YouTube recordings, and I'll send you the invite for the next session the following week. Thanks, everyone.